Welcome back. My name is Dak. Today in this video I'm going to be taking you through a game that I played recently. This is one where I was playing as black. Um, I thought it was pretty instructional. White had a chance to win at a couple different times, was definitely winning and beating me, but I managed to pull it out at the end by waiting for an opening, and then once I saw an opportunity I took it. Smart on my part, but honestly just more lucky than anything else. Let's watch and see how it went. First move came out was surprising. They bring out their knight, their queenside knight, instead of moving a pawn like you normally see. I respond how I normally do. I start with a perk defense, PIRC, perk defense. I move my queenside pawn up. They then move their pawn up. I bring my knight out. Start doing a King's Indian defense next. The idea to bring this pawn up here, bring the rook and castle. They bring their pawn up to protect. I push my pawn up. They move their bishop, further developing. I bring out my bishop. They bring out a developing piece, their knight, and then castle. All right, so that's we're more or less normal. Maybe black has a little bit of advantage, but 5 moves in, I'm expect where I am in most games. This is pretty comfortable for me. You see this a lot. The knight comes down, really putting pressure right here and right here. And so the idea being, if I were to move a move over here, for example, the knight could come in, check my king, move it out of the way. Alternatively, if they wanted to trade, and then I could of course kill it, but then it could take my rook and sacrifice 2 pieces for 1. Might be an idea, might not, but that's what's happened to me in the past. So at this point, what I did instead is I block it, thinking, okay, now the bishop can't come in, and this pawn is protecting there. They bring the queen in, adding pressure coming down this line. So I'm like, okay, let's go ahead and bring a pawn up, put it in the face of this bishop right here, either make the bishop attack or retreat, and I'm pretty sure they're going to retreat. So good. Okay, now they've retreated back. I'm comfortable. The computer is telling me my next best move is to move up here to my pawn to h6, putting pressure on the knight. I'm pretty sure that's what I did. Yep, moved it there, telling to retreat. Now instead of retreating, this was a big move right here. So right now I've got a advantage. Black is doing better. Knight should retreat, but instead they play bishop takes the pawn. I'm not sure they thought that was a good idea or not. Don't know what they're thinking. Huge black advantage right now. See up here. I mean, we're still very early in 242, 243. I mean, we've not lost a lot of time yet. So of course I take. Excited to see that. This pawn is now hanging, but for the benefit of I lost I took a bishop for it. It's worth it to have a hanging pawn. So this time now they're moving again, surprising, moving the queen over to cover a knight. And the idea being that if I were to take, they could take it back, but again, that's another piece. I decided to take it. I'm like, okay, if you're going to start giving me development pieces for the cost of a pawn, I will be happy to take those all the time. And then they take. So I've lost 2 pawns, and I've gotten a bishop and a knight for it. So I'm feeling great at this point. I'm a little bit worried at this point that something is going to happen. Like right now, my pawn is hanging, like I mentioned before, so it could take another pawn. So my bishop is protecting my knight, my rook is protecting it, so I feel comfortable about my knight, but I decided to move my king up to protect my pawn. In response, they move their queen out of the way. So okay, at this point, we're 30 seconds in, I'm feeling great. I move my rook over, thinking, okay, I'm going to start applying pressure this direction, maybe come in and start doing some damage now that I got an open file on the H file. They bring their pawn up. I move my rook. Again, I see that this is protected 2 places, just like this is protected 2 places, so I'm feeling comfortable about it. I'm thinking that, okay, if you take, I'll take with my rook. I could take with my pawn, and then if your knight takes, my rook is there next. So that's the idea. For rook, if a pawn takes here, I could respond, and then if knight takes, and they're thinking, oh, I can't move my knight right here because of it. I can take with my rook and be in a good place. But instead, they push their pawn. Okay. Computer's telling me, oh, this is a great move. Move the rook right here to put pressure on the queen, get tempo on the queen. I instead move my knight up. I don't see that move. I took 15 seconds, but I didn't see it. I was thinking I need to get more pieces developed. I was also thinking there's probably a lot that's going to be happening here at some point, at which point, boom, I lost my own knight. I should have seen that coming. But then I take with the queen instead, deciding I'm going to put pressure on this queen. Queen should have seen an opportunity now to take a hanging pawn, but again, we're playing blitz and we're not very good. We're 1200 rated players, so we're not seeing all the moves. I was willing to do a queen trade because I thought I saw an advantage, but I saw now at this point a hanging pawn. I take with my knight. My opponent moves the queen all the way over to this side. I'm not really sure why. I guess to put pressure on the knight, but it's like that it's being protected right now by the queen, so it's like it's not a ton of pressure. I decide to move my rook over, check the king. One thing I was worried about this whole time is could have still castled. Now with a check right there, makes it less like you can't castle immediately from there. Okay, so now I did give them an opportunity to move their bishop up, and now they're exerting 2 points of pressure, and I've lost the protection that I had before. So instead, I decided to bring my pawn up, adding a level of protection for my knight. Now they castle. That was what I was worried about, but instead of truly preventing it, I gave him an opportunity to develop a piece. So should have thought better about how to do that. I move my queen up, offering a queen trade. Computer says best thing to do is take, probably take something like that. Instead, now this is something I've learned at this point. Okay, they're not willing to do a queen trade. They don't want to trade a queen, which is smart. I mean, they're down material, down 3 points. Trading is not to their benefit. To me, I want to simplify. I got an advantage. The more we simplify, the better off I'll be. This was a huge mistake on my part. Right here, I have a huge advantage. 1, 2, 2.5 point, huge advantage. And then I make a blunder. I move my bishop up. For whatever reason, I thought this bishop was protected, but in fact it's hanging. And so I was giving, and I took, I'm at 116, and I took 10 seconds, but it's like a total blunder. And he's got plenty of time, 220. Should have really taken the time to see it. But instead, they already knew where they wanted to go. They were already decided. They took 1 second. If they had taken a little more time, they would have seen take that bishop. It was a free bishop, and we would have been even again. But instead, they knew where they wanted to go. They come here with the bishop, taking taking my knight, which is just an exchange of pieces at 3 points each. So I'm happy with that exchange. And then the queen comes down, and this is what they saw as their advantage. They're up a pawn now, so now I only have a 2-point advantage, but they could have been even if they had taken my bishop and not had to sacrifice their bishop for it. Again, I'm doing terrible on time. I'm at 1 minute. They're at 2 minutes and 21 seconds. I bring a pawn in, trying to develop. Again, computer wanted me to move forward right here. Would have been protected by my bishop, offering another queen trade. With a chance to further develop, but instead I move my bishop up. I'm thinking if I can get here and put pressure that way. I think they see that as well, so they prevent me from doing that by moving the queen, and then also at the same time likely coming down here. And like the computer wants me to go here. That's a great idea. I would have been protecting this while still continuing to move in development, but instead I see with my queen there's a hanging pawn, which is what I was excited about. And so I move up and take that. Computer does not like that. White now has the advantage. Just for that pawn, that one pawn, see a huge swing. I was at 2.5 points advantage. By taking a pawn, I lost 3 points of advantage. And you'll see why. Here comes there. Boom. They've taken a pawn back as well, putting pressure here, and so seeing all sorts of that's not good for me. And of course I'm down on time. So what do? I move my rook over. It protects my bishop and gets it away from danger. They move their queen over, now putting pressure on this rook right here. The computer wants me to sacrifice it, I guess. Computer says, go this way, sacrifice your bishop. But I don't know. To me, that doesn't make sense. They take there, and then I'm in check. Doesn't look super promising for me. Well, let's see what happens if I move there. Oh, it could have taken my rook too. My rook is hanging and my bishop's hanging. I mean, ouch. Yeah, that's... Anyway, so I decide I don't want to give up on these pieces, so I move over, which the computer tells me is even worse, because now, knight comes down and checks me, which is not what he did, or not what my opponent did. So right now, huge advantage, should have come and put a check on me, and then could have had all sorts of fun things to work with. If he goes check, here, I could go, but then, I've lost my queen. Oh, man, I didn't even see that. So right here, when I moved over, I put myself in a position where I could have lost my queen. Come here, if I, even worse, move it, boom, takes my queen. So, that's what the computer saw. I would have had a hanging queen. But instead, luckily, my opponent doesn't see it, moves the queen up to put me in check instead, which I'm thinking, okay, it's fine. I move down. Giving myself some still protection. And my opponent is going to be moving the queen a lot. So at this point, queen moves over, putting pressure on my rook. So I decide instead of moving my rook to safety, I'm going to defend it with my bishop. My opponent then decides to move the queen over this way, now putting pressure here to do a check. The computer says I'm doing great at this point. I'm not seeing it. I'm starting to feel the pressure, but I'm like, oh, now that I'm not in check, I should start taking some pieces. And I think the computer wants me to do the same thing. Interesting. So I do. I take the pawn. Computer's thinking about a couple different things. Knight is now hanging. Not worried about the rook as much because being protected over here. But let's see. Yeah, comes. My opponent decides to move the queen down, takes a pawn while putting me in check at the same time. I move over to defend my bishop. They move their knight out of the way, and I thought that was a blunder. So right here, knight had a couple different options. Could have come down here to put pressure here, but then would have probably been taken by my rook. Same thing here. Here would have been taken. Here probably could have been taken by a pawn. They think here. So I guess here, this is the only probably safe spot, but it would prevent allow me to take the rook. So instead they come here, which is immediately available. My queen can take the knight. So that's what I do, take the knight. They move up with their queen, which was the computer's smart move to do, putting now pressure back on this rook. However, I'm not too worried because it's still being protected now from two different areas. So my next thought is, okay, let's move here. Let's double up the pressure and start going that direction. That's what I want to do, but I would move my queen out of the way first. They put some pressure on me with a pawn. I move over, which is great because now the king's available. Check. Push the king over. That's a huge moment right here. Could have offered me a queen, could have put a rook in the middle, but instead moving the king over, and I got a huge advantage. But I'm also super low on time. I'm down to 20 seconds. This is going to be a critical juncture later on. So again, now it's on me. Don't have a lot of time. So now I bring the bishop over to put pressure on. They move their rook over. Say, hey, you take my rook, and I'll take your queen. So I move my queen over in this direction. They then come down, check me. All right. So computer wants me to move over. I instead move this direction, trying to get more things in the way. They come over, check me again. So I go down out of the way. This was a blunder by their part right here. Again, they keep thinking to put pressure on here when it's like, or maybe, come down and take here. But man, now they've just opened up their rook for the taking. I could take a rook and sacrifice a bishop, but I don't think like that. That's not where I'm at my head in the game at this point. So instead what I do is I take the pawn. I saw it as a free move, and and this was a blunder. Maybe it was a mouse slip, but like right here, my bishop is free for the taking. It's completely hanging. We'll put pressure on him. But instead they come down here. They want to do a check on me first, which gives my guy an opportunity to come over. and defend. Defend my bishop, which was very, very surprising that my opponent gave that to me. That was just lucky. They move the rook over, thinking to protect their king, I guess. I come over. All right, let's put some pressure on this one instead. They come over, and I think the idea is, okay, if I were to take with the rook, they would take it gladly. That would be a good exchange for them. If I move out of the way, like over here or something, then potentially they're putting pressure now on my bishop. So I move down to protect my bishop, but still staying close. They do it again, more pressure on my queen. I go down one more time, and again the whole time keeping my bishop protected. At this point, they offer me a rook trade, to trade my rooks, which I am happy to do. Again, simplify. I've got a huge advantage, but I'm down on time, so I'm going fast. So I see that I don't even consider, I'm just, I've taken 16 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 moves in 5 seconds. So, I'm playing pretty fast, not thinking much about it. They take back, and, they've got a full minute. They've got, 55 seconds. They're doing much better. I double up for some reason, thinking I can get in there. It would be different if I had different pieces, but that was my thought process. They take my pawn, and they've now doubled up, so they have protection. If they were to come, queen were to come down here, I couldn't take with my king. It would be pressured. I would be in trouble. So what do? I, for whatever reason, think, oh, let's put some pressure on this rook, which is a very bad move. We're now completely even. What my opponent should do, come down, check me, have that, move out of the way, and then, do some more damage. But instead they check me, come in this direction. Again, they're not taking a lot of time. Their time, 54, 50, they're not taking any time off their clock. They're just moving fast too. And I'm moving 6 seconds, 10 seconds, 6, I'm moving pretty fast. They come check me. So I have 2 of these different type of blunders because I'm low on time and they're low on time. But they make serious blunders that I should have penalized. Right now, a huge advantage. They made a terrible mistake. They come over, they take this pawn. However, it's being protected by the rook. And what I should have done is take their queen. Just take a hanging queen. Or even not that, just going for the checkmate. So they come here, but I'm in check. And should just take the queen. But I move my king out of the way because, again, low on time, getting out of a check. And it's boom, they could, destroy me right now. Huge advantage. But instead, and which they do, they get it, and I move out of the way. And so I'm like, oh no, now I'm in trouble. I got 5 seconds left, in trouble. Check, move out of the way. But now I'm seeing this, something I've kept in mind, which I heard from Gotham Chess. Always be aware of your back row checkmate. Right now, king is very, very vulnerable. If I can get my queen here, get my queen there, just great looking checkmates, because it's tucked in the corner like that. They put me in check. This was my second. So I told you before, this was opportunity 1 right here. This was opportunity 1 to take the queen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 moves. 6 moves later, I have a second opportunity. I'm looking at this throw. I'm looking to win, so I'm not looking right here. They make a huge blunder, and instead of taking with the queen when I'm in check, I move my king. Again, because I have no time, and I'm trying to save my time. But it's looking back on this analysis, second time I could have taken the queen. This is real 1200, level stuff you're seeing. Again, they check me. I move out of the way. And then I'm pretty sure this is, getting close to the end. They move here. They take my bishop. So, man, now I have, just from a material standpoint, they're like, oh, they're doing great. They got 53 seconds. I'm down to 6 seconds. I've got 2 bishops, and a pawn, whereas they've got a rook. So, material-wise, we're getting, they got a little bit of advantage. They take another piece. They're at a much higher advantage, and that's what he's seeing. Comes here. He's going to be at +4. And boom, if you notice, this entire thing goes black. Why? Because the game is now mine. That was a huge mistake. I've made several mistakes. He's made my opponent's made several mistakes. Just a Gotham Chess would just be guess that elo, type mistakes. I put him in check because I see it. I pay attention to it, and I know, okay, doesn't have any way to defend at this point. So I say check to him. He brings his, skips 2 steps. Could have moved the rook first, and then, but instead moves the queen to block. And they thought about it for 12, 15 seconds, 48 to 30, yeah, so 10 seconds thought about it, and then boom, checkmate. That was very lucky on my part. I mean, my opponent had the advantage, but our own inexperience on both of our parts made up for it. So I luckily get the checkmate on the king, nowhere to go. And yeah, that was my game. Hope you enjoyed watching. Hope you learned something. Feel free to comment below if you have any thoughts on what I should have done better all along the way. Very inaccurate game on my part, but hey, I'm still learning. So appreciate your time, and thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.